You! Yes, you! Hello, you glorious people. My name is Richard, aka RickB321. And here is my second top 5 countdown. And today we're going to talk about boss fights. They're pretty much an integral part of mainstream video games since, well, the inception of mainstream video gaming. When done well, they can be the standout feature of any game. You need a good mix of a challenging moveset for the player to dodge, inspired ways to attack it, and the atmosphere needs to be grand and exciting. There's a smorgasbord of fantastic boss fights out there in the video gaming world, but I'm here to talk about my top 5 boss fights that frustrate me, irritate me, annoy me, or leave me without much of a lasting impact. Now, I realise that I'm about to step into a highly debated and hotly contested topic here, and I know that some of you will not agree with these picks. I only ask that you're sensible and constructive with any comments you have about this list. Other than that, the usual house rules apply. One boss fight per franchise, and note that these are strictly my own opinions based solely on the games that I have played firsthand or have enough working knowledge of to be able to constructively talk about them. So with that out of the way, I am stepping out onto the tightrope with my top 5 countdown of my most hated boss fights in gaming. In at number 5. The King of Iron Fist Tournament 5 is upon you, and some of your best loved Tekken fighters have returned to make their bid in claiming the throne of the Mishima Zaibatsu and do whatever they please with it. Now the story mode is pretty basic here and it hasn't got much to offer in the face of Mortal Kombat 9's campaign, but hey, at least there are a lot of guys you can use to complete it with, so you've got that. But there's one small problem. Oh my freaking god, I can't begin to describe the torment I've suffered at the hands of Jinpachi Mishima, the final battle of the story / arcade mode in Tekken 5. Having been freed in the siege of the Honmaru Dojo after 50 years, he takes advantage of the belief that his son, Heihachi Mishima, was killed in the explosion, and takes the helm of the Zaibatsu for himself, announcing the next Iron Fist tournament. Jinpachi also happens to be possessed by a demon soul or something, I don't know, that's now granted him immortality, but it could also make him destroy all existence, and so he hopes that the winner of the Iron Fist tournament will be able to take him down before his reign of terror can ensue. So, if that's all he wants, why the hell is his fight so painstakingly backbreaking? So before it starts off, he undergoes this truly ungodly transformation until his belly grows its own mouth, so already things are kinda bad. And then, you have to contend with about 3 moves of his set in particular, since they're so overpowered, they can turn the fight straight away onto its head and leave you on the back foot. First off, he has this stomp attack that renders you immobile for a few seconds, a move that he starts almost every goddamn round with. Bad. Secondly, one of his punches has life-sapping qualities, and it takes a hell of a lot of it too. Really bad. And finally, his belly mouth shoots a flaming fireball in your direction that will take around 50 to 60% of your health in one fell swoop if you don't sidestep away from it. Oh yeah, he can also sometimes shoot 3 in succession. And the worst thing of all is, half of his attacks seem to be any one of these 3 moves. And that's cheap AI programming borderlining on the absolutely ridiculous there. I mean, if he wants to die, why does he have to put up such a ball-buster of a fight? In at number 4. And now we move on to God of War, well known for having some of the grandest boss fight spectacles in recent gaming. I mean, hey, it is Greek mythology after all, you kind of expect something big with a theme such as that. And true to my word, some of the bosses are colossal. Now they sometimes play about like a traditional level in the sense that they often involve running up the huge limbs to the weak spots, but at least you can get some solid hack and slash combo action going when you do reach them, which is more than can be said for this little runt.
Kratos, where are you off to today? Never, never learn, never, never change. Kratos, the fool who killed his own blood.
Now when I said that some of the boss fights in the God of War franchise can play out like traditional levels, it kinda kept that to a minimum, and that's okay with me since I'm not really a huge fan of that kind of way about it, you know. Hermes, on the other hand, is not really a boss fight. His battle is more akin to a really annoying game of cat and mouse. I mean, okay, yeah, I get it. Hermes, Mercury, the winged messenger of the gods, that's not my problem. The problem I have is in the fact that this boss fight seems to be an excuse to make another long running and platforming section with the occasional quick time event. To me, that kind of sours the whole premise of a boss fight. Literally none of the conventions of any other boss fight are included here. None! Huge arena? No. Menacing boss character? Heck no! Kratos is a behemoth compared to this spindly little bitch. Does he attack you? No, 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 no! He just seems to run a little more, and I don't know, a lot more running. He does nothing to hurt you, literally nothing! Oh, and let's not forget about his cracking one-liners, shall we?
Lazy mortal! Keep up, Kratos! Is this fun?
Shut up! Now the one saving grace for this boss fight is its ending sequence after you manage to defeat him. Oh yes. Oh yes, this bit felt good. In at number 3. Now this is where I feel most of the hate will come from. Call of Duty overall seems to be the franchise master of reiteration over innovation. But the fanbase seems to stick at it, so I guess I can't complain there. On top of this, there are some glittering moments of genius in some of the solo campaign stories, especially the Middle East nuke in the Shock and Awe and Aftermath missions in the first Modern Warfare game. But other than that, I honestly find it extremely hard to really like the Call of Duty games since the whole Modern Warfare thing got going. For me personally, the weakest game in the series is Modern Warfare 3, as I felt that the campaign was, and I think Eurogamer had a great word to describe it, a bit outmoded compared to the previous 2 Modern Warfare games. So why don't we dive right into the final mission. So World War 3 has now ended, woohoo! Now it's time to hunt down the devious ultra-nationalist leader Vladimir Makarov, whom I think I'm right in saying is the guy who set off the nuke in the first Modern Warfare, slaughtering those 30,000 Marines, called out the war, the chaos, the fighting, the renegade US generals, and the bing, the bang, the bird, the bird, the bang. So in the final mission, called Dust to Dust, you have to put up with a little bit more running and gunning, a couple of shenanigans in the elevators, about a bajillion missiles pounding you and your mate to submission, but finally, right at the end, you manage to seize your chance. But what follows afterwards is a sequence of crazy, unrealistic, and downright ridiculous actions that would surely kill off any other normal man. Then, with both Price and Makarov staggering so painfully slowly, you eventually manage to rope your adversary up and hang him till he dies, ending the game with, oh come on, I'm sorry, but that's the cheesiest way to end this game and the whole trilogy in general. The writing of this whole sequence seems to have no concept of subtlety. I mean, sure, it's a big climax and all, but there's a fine line between sensibility and insanity. And this, for me, has crossed that line. Plus, the whole thing is experienced through a grinding past hordes of enemies with your guns, a la GoldenEye 64, and a series of dreary quick-time events and cutscenes. It's really not the way to go about this. The sense of occasion should be experienced firsthand through solid combat and gameplay, not just through pretty images on the screen. I mean, hot diggity dang it! In at number 2. Arkham Asylum was a tremendous game. The dark and brooding atmosphere of the asylum, the expertly crafted dialogue and voice performances, and the story that really took into account the characteristics of the protagonist, the Caped Crusader, and the antagonist, the maniacal Joker. The game's mechanics and storyline were all built around subtlety, as is the nature of both Batman and the Joker. You see, these guys don't go about their business with a loud brass band behind them and a megaphone in their mouth constantly shouting out, "Look at me, I'm awesome, la 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 la." No, they do their work in utter secrecy from the rest of the world, so no one knows when they'll appear next. And this is especially true for the Joker. It's one of the Clown Prince's defining traits, completely obsessed with causing anarchy and chaos, but crafting his schemes in total seclusion until wham! He comes from nowhere and causes utter turmoil. And the Joker reigns terror because of his cunning and ambiguity, and not through brute force or strength. So, all is well in this game until... This can't be right. Am I still playing Arkham Asylum, or have I just suddenly jumped into freaking Gears of War or something? I mean, what went through the mind of the developers when they decided that this was the best way to end Arkham Asylum? This one boss battle took the original ideas of subtlety and ingenuity, drop-kicked them all the way to Timbuktu, and instead left us with a rather forgetful duel with a villain basically jacked up on steroids. I mean, the whole premise of this fight completely ignored what made the Joker a great villain, and seriously made me throw my hands in the air in utter confusion and say, really? You know, if anything, this boss is more of a spectacle rather than the tense, engaging battle, and I think John Trom sums it up quite well. If you plonk a good looking and cool boss fight into the end of the game just for the sake of being a good looking and cool boss fight at the end of the game, you might have made some mistakes down the line somewhere. I mean, this is quite possibly the most inappropriate way to end a game as complex, detailed, and subtle as Arkham Asylum. Anything else would have been better, to be brutally frank. Finally, in number 1. Okay, let me ask you something. If you have a game that's many months from polishing and completion, but the fan base wants you to release it anyway in time for the character's big anniversary, do you A, succumb to the pressure and release it anyway, or B, take the time you need to make the game as best as it can be? If you answer B, congratulations, you've made the right choice. Which is more than can be said for Sega and Sonic Team when they peddled out Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. And then this game was sort of the fault of both sides here. The fan base were too engulfed in the fact that 2006 was to be Sonic's 15th anniversary, and they didn't know what they would be getting. And the developers and publishers were obviously oblivious to the fact that their next-gen rekindling of the Blue Blur was nowhere near completion. I mean, how could they even contemplate putting the game that was this incomplete, this convoluted, and this broken onto the high street? The controls were pinpoint and hard to get used to, the gameplay was all messed up, the story was lackluster, and the boss battles were so incredibly bland and forgetful, save for one, which we all remember for being the most annoying thing in existence. Yeah, you all know what's coming.
I've been looking for you. You're the Iblis Trigger. My name is Silver. For the future of the world, I will destroy you!
Oh boy, where to begin? I'll tell you what, I'll begin by saying, damn this boss fight to the pits of hell! So Silver the Hedgehog is the newcomer to this game and comes literally out of nowhere holding a personal vendetta against Sonic with little explanation beforehand as to why. So naturally they'd have to fight when they saw eye to eye for the first time. Now, it doesn't really help that Silver wasn't an entirely likable character for me to start with, and then they went and put him in a boss battle like this? I would have happily had Silver's rotten carcass handed to me on a silver platter. Everything that could be broken about this fight is. The camera is incredibly hard to manage and it has no lock-on feature. The controls are too precise to be able to move fluidly. And Silver's main attack in this fight is quite possibly, no, scratch that. This is definitely the single most irritating thing I've encountered in any game. Ever. If you get too close to Silver, he'll catch you with his telekinesis and throw you into the nearest wall or object and make you lose all your rings. The thing is though, almost immediately afterwards, he can catch you again if you're too close, which will almost certainly end you. And worst case scenario, if he catches you and you're directly above him, you can kiss your sorry ass goodbye. You can only attack him if he decides to throw other objects around the arena, but he has too many hit points for him to be a tolerable boss in this kind of situation. Oh, especially with that one line.
It's no use!
And here's the kicker. You have to fight Silver twice in the game. Once in both Sonic and Shadow's campaign.
It's no use! It's no use! It's no use! It's no use!
Shut up! And yet, if they had the lock-on camera so you could always see him in the arena, if they programmed a recharge period for Silver's telekinesis grab, the fight overall would have been infinitely better. But no. Lo and behold, Silver the Hedgehog, for me at least, is the worst, the lowest form of garbage, and I would honestly enjoy suffering an aneurysm more than fighting him again. And it really pains me to say that. It's really upsetting to know that this boss battle, the game in general, and the whole messed up situation behind it has come from my favourite character franchise, one that I have tried to stick with through thick and thin, because they have made some great Sonic games before, honest! But seriously, after a game such as Sonic 06, I very nearly gave up on Sonic completely. I nearly gave up on life in general, in fact. Thank the Lord above for second chances, eh? So, there we go. My pick of some of my most hated boss fights in all of gaming. I hope to high heaven that the gaming industry continues to learn from the mistakes that these poor boss fights made and continues to provide some truly great bosses for the future. So, if you'd like to chime in with your opinions on this list and share your ideas that I may have missed, do write them in the comments below, as long as they go beyond spam, flame and hate statements. Rates and subscribes are also very much appreciated. Other than that, I'll stop this here. Stay you, stay awesome, my name is Richard, and I will see you guys later on.